Hi, today I wanted to show you something a little bit different than in my usual videos. As the spring is upon us, I want to show you how to make a simple sun pendant, also known as a shield pendant, because of the shape, and we'll use some very simple basic tools to do it, and if you follow the process it's very simple, and hopefully at the end of the video, after you have watched it, you can also do it yourself. For material I will use brass. It's 1 millimeter thick. You can use a little bit thinner material, but not thicker material. It's just more easy to work with, and more according to historical examples. And first we need to anneal the material. After you're done annealing, just leave the material on some metal surface and let it cool by itself. You of course can throw it into the water, but it usually gets messy, and I usually don't do it. So once the material has cooled down, I will now just take pencil and mark the center of it. Now, some of the tools we will use. One of the most important tools for this kind of pendant is something like this. With a round end. You can buy them ready, or you can just use a file and just shape any piece of steel or metal that is harder than brass, and it will also work. So at first I use a wooden surface. I'll basically use this one to basically mark the center where I want to be the raised part of the pendant to be. Just simple as that. So I have some let's say guide place to later work with. Now this fancy tool, you can buy them, but if you don't have anything like this available, you can just make a hole in a half round shape according to punch you're using. Also, if you use hardwood, it should work perfectly fine. But I have this one, so I will use this one. So this punch goes very good. It's inside this one, so I'm using this size for the raised part of the pendant. I'm trying to just fit it in the center of it, and I'm turning it around a little bit so it punches out even. Now I'm stopping, and I will anneal the material one more time because it work hardens, and you can break the material on the edges of the raised part of the pendant. and again just let it cool down by itself. So our material has again cooled down, and we just continue punching. So I think it's a good one, a little bit from this side. Yep. And the rest part is finished. So next step is to decorate the surface of the pendant, and I will use classical Viking age ornamental shape, the triangle with 3 dots. If you have a chance to get a punch like this, which works very well for decoration. If you don't have it, you can just again use a file and shape any piece of steel that's harder than brass into just triangle shape and use that one, or use any anything you can get like circles as decorations work also perfectly fine, or any other shape, but as long as it looks good. How I do it, I'm starting to work from the raised part all around it, and then I will increase the number of lines around, and you will see how it starts to resemble a sun. So far so good. So the question is what to do next. I'm using very sharp pencil, so again very thin line, and a ruler with the round holes in it. So I'm just looking what is the next step that would look good. I'm trying to visually get it as best in center as I can, because in the end we'll anyway look at the pendant with our eyes and not with a measuring tool, so it has to look good when you're looking at it. And I'm just taking my punch and I continue to put triangles all around it. So from hammering the triangles on it, the brass plate is changing a shape a little bit, so you maybe will need to straighten it out a little bit. If it's too hard for you, because the surface work hardens, just anneal it another time and it will work perfectly fine. And I'm just looking for the next step for my guideline. I think next one will be 23 or 24. Let's say next one will be for me 24 mil. It also will depend on what size is your punch, or what size is your raised part of the pendant. So just look how it looks good visually. And I'm just continuing punching the triangles. I'm used to, when I'm working, to make a job a little bit easier for me, I'm holding punch like this, and with these 2 fingers I'm just holding the plate down so it doesn't move around. when you try working like this, you'll find your own comfortable way to make the job as enjoyable as possible for you. So now I have 4 lines, and I really want to do 5 lines, but I have run out of circles. So what will we do? We'll just take another one with bigger circles. So and now the final line. I'm leaving a little bit bigger gaps between the triangles and the line, because this will be the line that I will cut it off from the rest of the plate, and after that I will file it, sand it a little bit, so it will become a little bit smaller. So to cut it off, I will use these ones with straight cutters. You can use any thing that's supposed to cut metal. Usually modern ones has a little teeth on them to make cutting a little bit more easier, but they leave marks on the metal, so I don't like them. If you can get straight ones, I recommend these. If you cannot and you use modern ones with a little bit jaw markings, then it means you will just have to do a little bit more filing afterwards. And it's very simple. Try to keep your fingers out of the cutters and just gently try to cut as close as possible to the line. You can see I'm turning the whole plate of material against the jaws. Be careful with this part, because it's usually very pointy and very sharp. It's very easy to hurt yourself. Now the last cut. Just take it slowly, gently. So, for a handmade, hand-cutted pendant, it's pretty good. Now you will need a file, just any flat surface file with a good cutting surface, and just secure the pendant in any way that it's comfortable for you. I'm just holding it in my hands. You can use vise or something like that, and just first of all gently round up the shape. Don't forget not just to work on a flat surface, but also round up an edge a little bit, so it's smooth and pleasant to touch, so it doesn't scratch the skin of you if you will be wearing it, or someone dear to you if you are going to gift it away. Just like this until it's smooth and pleasant to touch, and then just flip it over and work other side until it's also smooth and nice. So I already a little bit sanded the edges also to make it even more smoother, and a little bit surface, and now I'm just going to polish it up with a buffing wheel. As it's all nice and shiny, next step we have to do is make a loop for it so we can wear it. I am already took a piece just of leftover 1mm brass, and I have already polished it up a little bit with sandpaper, and now I will cut a strip off for this pendant. For this size I like to use 6mm wide strip for the loop. I'm just marking the line, and I will now just cut it off. So for pendant of this size I want a nice big loop, so I'll cut, let's say, 3 centimeters off. After that I will take a file and just round up all the parts so they are also nice to touch, and I will show you how to rivet it on. Now we will have to bend it in a loop. I'm just using a piece of 4mm brass wire, and just using my fingers basically to shape it. And when the ends are together, I'm just pressing them down with smooth jaw pliers. So basically that's the shape I want. They're a little bit different height, so I will just have to file it down again just a little bit. Now I'm just looking where to fit the best, because don't forget, as everything here is handmade, it's not perfectly round, so I'm just looking if it's look good. I think it's good. Now I'm just laying it down on the corner of my steel block, and I will just mark a place for a rivet. A little bit lower. Next step is to drill it. I'm holding it with my fingers, so the loop doesn't run off from where it's supposed to be, and I'll try to gently drill it. If your drill bit isn't too sharp like mine, the pendant will become hot very fast, and you will burn your fingers just like I did. So just make sure that your drill bits are sharp before you do it. Now I will cheat a little bit and just use a ready-made brass rivet. If you don't have any, then you can rivet it all together just with a piece of brass wire. I'm using 2mm rivets, and also a piece of 2mm wire works perfectly fine. And now it's just a question of getting the rivet in. So it's basically already connected, and now I just need to rivet it. So now I have to rivet it all together, but I have to make sure that in the process I don't damage this part of the pendant. So I'm looking on the surface that I can put the rivet head on, and then rivet all together. So when I hit down on the rivet, I don't damage the pendant itself. Oh, as you can see, the rivet is a bit too long, and I'll just cut it off a little bit. Now I'm putting it in a place where I intended, and I use hammer with a round end, and I'm just riveting it. So loop did move a little bit on the side when I was riveting it, so I will just use vise to straighten it out a little bit. So it look good. Yep. So I will just sand down this part a little bit so it's smooth, and we can say it's done.